with a rat gives people capabilities beyond what you might think they would have, maybe beyond the knowledge that they would normally have. This thing had been in use for approximately 3 years before it was discovered. That's terrifying. Imagine if you found out your home computer had been compromised and you
covering specific risks, right? In this case, the cloud infrastructure identity risks. I've spent more than 13 years around security, compliance, data security, governance, risks. And I worked with customers in Europe, in Middle East, you name it. And I like to work out at the gym, eat my own mechanic, do some types of fun things in my free time.
Hey everyone, my name is Sabir. I'm a product manager at Microsoft, and I work with Microsoft Entra, which is Azure Active Directory engineering team. So, and primary role of my role is to help customers to deploy identity solutions, right, working on cloud identity specifically, and make sure that they are deploying at a scale. So we talk about passwordless journey, we talk about how you can bring your own identity in space, B2B, B2C, right? That's all we cover from an identity perspective. So if you have any identity related question post our session, you can talk to us and probably you can have brainstorm around this.
That's amazing, Sandeep. Thank you. So, who have seen this before? Who knows anything about the zero trust? Okay, so of course, the zero trust is a type of strategy where we explicitly try to verify and authenticate every single access to a resource, right? This resource being an on-prem or a SaaS or a PaaS or IaaS resource. And if we look at Microsoft today, we are the only organization who can go to a customer and tell them whether you have Microsoft Cloud, whether you have on-prem setup, whether you have multi-cloud environment with AWS and GCP, we can help you secure it, right? So we as Microsoft goes with a hybrid multi-cloud approach for the protection, and because this will help us apply the zero trust more effectively and more widely. Because if you think about the niche players in the market and the organizations who adopt different security providers, they will come to at a point at the end where those controls are disconnected, discrete, they do not share signals or talk to each other, and eventually that zero trust application will become ineffective, right? So it's very important to use a security provider who can connect all the dots together from the different attack surfaces. And when you look at our multi-platform and multi-cloud approach, we look at mainly two types of attack vectors. We look at the resource attack vectors, where we cover this by means of CSPM, SIEM solutions, like Defender for Cloud or like Microsoft Sentinel, and Microsoft Cloud for Defender for Cloud Apps to cover the SaaS protection. However, when you look at the identity, we have our Azure Active Directory as our IDP and the central enforcement engine for the zero trust, and we're also looking at a new category of solutions that is called KIB, or Cloud Entitlements, Cloud Infrastructure Entitlements Management. So when customers argue that, okay, I have my SIEM solution, I have my CSPM, why do I need a cloud infrastructure entitlements management solution? My answer is like, right? Of course, this is not how I talk to the customers, but this is exactly what I feel inside.
So if you have a question over here, right? So imagine that a customer has deployed multi-cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP. What is your solution to discover those risks? And first of all, it should be the discovery part and then the remediation part, right? So can you just elaborate more on the discovery part of the solution?
Absolutely, Sandeep. So within the multi-cloud environment, we are talking about an attack vector that is very important, and it's the identity attack vector, right? So resources are covered by CSPM or SIEM solutions, but permissions for the identities on those cloud infrastructure poses a huge risk today. Because if you look at all the practices to apply RBAC to those identities on Azure or AWS or GCP, you will find massive gaps between what is being granted to those identities as full administrators, for example, or Azure contributors or Azure owners, and the permissions that are effectively being used within those environments. So, as an example, to just give you a context, the Azure contributor rules provide more than 11,000 granular permissions over different resources, while those admins could be using only 100 or 200 permissions, right? Which leaves us with massive permissions gap. Now, take this permissions gap and look at all the identities within those cloud infrastructure environments, like Azure, AWS, and GCP, and not only the human identities, but the non-human identities too, like application identities, like system managed identities, and this leaves massive attack surface open just because of this permissions gap. So it's very important for us to be able to get this visibility on which actual permissions is being used within Azure, AWS, or GCP, and being able to understand the risk of having inactive identities, over-provisioned identities, super identities, and this helps us really understand this level of risk with a single pane of glass.
Yeah. So looking at this particular screen, I can see that we are actually providing information or portraying information saying that what is the level of permission that was given, right? So it's primarily the discovery part. Does this get into all the three cloud platform at a similar space?
Yeah, 100%. So this is a single pane of glass that enables us to look at the risk from the human and non-human identities within the different cloud environments, and then enables us to mitigate this risk. So after understanding or getting this visibility, we want to reduce the level of risk down by right-sizing the permissions of those identities. To be able to say, for example, that this database team, they don't need the database contributor rule that grants 7,000 or 8,000 granular permissions, but they need a right-sized rule that takes into account the permissions used in the last 3 months, right? This could be 300 permissions, 400 permissions. So eliminating this permissions gap, while of course cleaning up all the inactive identities that are assigned permissions, but we are not using them, reducing the number of super identities. So the solution also helps us remediate the risk, and this is the intra-permissions management. For the irregular tasks, it also enables those admins to elevate permissions on demand in a very flexible way and based on a specific time schedule. But we are here talking about securing the multi-cloud environment or cloud infrastructure environment. But there is also another side of the coin for securing the cloud environment, where we have multiple organizations who are having multi-tenants or multiple tenants under the same organization due to acquisitions, due to mergers, due to several things. So Sandeep, if you're able to take us through this part and explain to us what are those types of risks, how we can secure the collaboration within the multi-tenant organizations.
Great. Thanks, Rafiq. So what Rafiq covered till now is primarily to do with an organization having their resources on multi-cloud, which can be AWS, Azure, or GCP. We are a little bit switching the gears over here, and we're talking about you being a customer having multiple organizations within your entity where there can be tenant 1 and there can be tenant 2, and how you can actually collaborate, right? In identity terminology, we normally call it as B2C or B2B. B2B is more business to business, where you are inviting a partner organization to come and collaborate with you. Collaboration is great, but how about security, right? So you need to think about some of the scenarios over here where you can see that there is a Fabricam Mexico, there is a Fabricam US. They are all getting merged into a specific entity. So what we have within Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra at this point of time is a solution by which you can actually bring in the resources or users from multiple tenants into one. Normally we call it this using B2B, where you normally do an invite and redeem and all. But this particular feature allows you to actually do an inbound provisioning from multiple tenants into a single tenant, which means that the user would be still in their home tenant, which is in Fabrica, Mexico, but using this particular cross-tenant synchronization, you would be able to bring the user from Mexico tenant into a Contoso tenant, where they would be able to access their applications and the services, right? Now this is great from a collaboration perspective, but you have always think that there is a security perspective also into this angle that should be thought in. This is another use case, right? Typically, that there are two organizations over here, Contoso and Woodgrow, and some of the tenant wants to have a user be invited, where one tenant is a user tenant and another tenant is an application tenant or resource tenant, and they want to actually access the applications, right? Again, another scenario by which you want to bring in collaboration. Now, with the collaboration, there comes also an aspect on whether your admins are actually allowed to connect with any tenant. So what we provide here is an aspect of security where you can whitelist certain tenants, which means that from within your Microsoft 365 cloud, you will be able to say that my tenant is only going to collaborate with a specific tenant. So once you define that, you will be able to invite users only from that specific tenant, which means that you're locking down your collaboration into a specific tenant, whereby you're not allowing them to be invited from multi-tenants into your collaboration space, right? So think of it from a perspective, and if you are in a space where you have multiple tenants to collaborate with, it can be a partner organization, it can be another entity that you're closely working with, and you're currently using a B2B where you're inviting them over an email and then collaborating, you need to think about a strategy where how you would be able to more effectively do it by using cross-tenant synchronization and some of the settings that we define over here. Now, adding on top of it from a security perspective, once you whitelist a specific tenant within your M365 solution or within Microsoft Entra, you would be able to use these settings. For example, imagine we can look at a device posture of a specific user who is coming from another tenant. Maybe they are using an MDM solution. Maybe their device is actually having a specific management state, right? So before you allowing them to access your resources, you can look into say that whether they have done multi-factor authentication in their tenant and they are coming back over here, right? So all in all, what you're doing is you are basically making sure that you are scrutinizing the access that is provided to a specific external user. External is the keyword over here, because many a time you would actually be having good guardrails and good security controls for the users within your tenant, where you're enabling using MFA and all. But it's always a risky scenario where you're thinking about bringing external users into a tenant and then defining what they should do within your tenant, right? Like application access or any kind of things. Many organizations which I've personally seen is a little bit loose on these things because they don't put too much focus over here, and hence,
how can we identify and make sure that we have this governance piece from a high level, so that we are able to address those risks?
Yeah, so collaboration is great, as I told you, but if you want to bring the complete control of your solution and the collaboration piece into it, we need to use something called as identity governance. Identity governance is nothing new, including Microsoft and several other players play in this particular part. But what identity governance does is it actually allows you to say that if a user has brought into a tenant, you want them to be reviewed in a regular manner, which means that it will be as simple as you sending them an email digest where they need to acknowledge saying that, yeah, I would need to still retain my access for a prolonged period of time. If they don't respond to that particular email within a certain period of time, we would automatically revoke their access from the tenant, right? Which means that there are two things to this one. One is you're bringing that aspect of access recertification, and plus you're actually relying on a system which is quite autonomous, which means that it works automatically on a specific methodology where there is no human interaction. Once it is configured, it is going to fire this complete workflow using a recurring schedule by which they will need to be recertified. Only once they're recertified, they will be provided the necessary access. Another most important thing is that I heard a gentleman in the morning talking over here regarding overuse of admin credentials, right? This is something that every organization actually does. And part of it is what Rafiq mentioned, where on a cloud infrastructure model, you can use EPM and other tools to actually right-size the correct roles. But on a cloud, on an identity level from an M365 perspective, you want to make sure that you don't provide any user a standing access to any resources. So the usage scenarios of using PIM, like privileged identity management and all, are supposed to be used, and which is really part of the core part of identity governance, right? So just to wrap up, collaboration and security together, I'm not specifically focused on talking about the users within your tenant, but it's primarily to do with the users who are coming in from an external tenant and how you can actually securely collaborate with them. Right? That's kind of a takeaway I want to give you. Any closing notes, Rafiq?
Yeah.